Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Peshawar Model School Boys 3 Science Online class for Class 4. Characteristics of living things. Previous lesson: plants and animal cell, characteristics of living things, ecosystem and life cycle. Plants, as you have learned in the previous lessons, that plant and animals cells are different from each other. Plant cell has a rectangular shape, animal cells have no shape but almost in round form they are present. The outermost covering of the plant cell is cell wall made up of cellulose, and the outermost covering of animal cell is made from cell membrane. Again, there is a big difference between the plant and animal cells, that plant cell have chloroplast while animal cell have no chloroplast. Chloroplast is green color, is a disc shape organelle in which green pigment is present, called chlorophyll, which help in process of photosynthesis. This organelle is not present in animal cell. The next big difference, the third difference between the plant and animal cell, is that plant cell has a large vacuole while there are many small vacuoles in the cells of animals. Plant cell are plant cells have nucleus at a site, but animal cells has its nucleus in the center. This is the difference between plant and animal cell, which you have learned in the previous lesson. Characteristics of living things. This is the boys difference between plant and animal cell. Plant cell has chloroplast, and animal cells have no chloroplast. Plant cells have cell wall, but there is no cell wall. Large vacuole is present in the center of the plant cell, but many small vacuoles are present in animal cell. Now there is the characteristics of living things are that they have the living things breathe, grow, they need food, they move from place to place. These are the things which living can do, but non-living things cannot do any of these things. Food are the need of the living things, because this is the way in which they get energy. Animals get their food from other animals by eating them, or by eating the plants, and plants make their own food by the help of photosynthesis. Respiration is the other important thing in which they obtain energy from the food, and for this animals use the sense organ, nose, and plants there is a tiny hole in the leaves of plants which is called stomata. Animals can show movement. There is locomotion in animal. They displace or they move from one place to another place as a whole, while plants doesn't move as a whole from one place to another place, but its certain plant parts show movement, like roots show movement towards the soil. Inside the soil it doesn't go upward, and stem show movement towards the light above the ground. Another thing that living things have, they have feelings. They are sensitive to their environment, and for feelings they have particular sense organs which they make them sensitive for the change which they feel for the environment, and they become sensitive for them. The next important thing is that they reproduce. They continue their generations, and while non-living things cannot do any things of these. The waste material which is made inside the body of the living things by different chemical reactions, they also get rid of them, and proper excretion systems are present in them. They get rid of sweat, skin get rid of sweat, kidneys remove the urine, and lungs remove carbon dioxide from the body. Their body also show growth as a baby grows into an adult. A seed, when we put into the soil, after a few days tiny seedling comes out, and after some time it changes into an adult. So this is the change of the body. Sorry, this is the change of the body in their body structures, which show from time to time, and it is not immediate, it is not at once, but it generally take some time. So these are the 7 characteristics which are present in the living things only, but not present in non-living things. Living things depend on each other. This make a food chain for them. Living things depend upon each other, as this in this diagram, like animals depend on plant for their food, and human beings depend on animals and plant both, and plants in turn depend on the certain conditions. Also, if there is no sunlight, so plant will never grow. If there is no water, then plant can't grow. If there is no soil, then plant cannot grow. So these things, these living and non-living things, affect the life of each other. Such relationship between living thing and with their non-living thing make a relationship between them, and this kind of relationship is called an ecosystem, in which they depend on each other. And they make a food chain, as their life depend on them. Plants are the producers, they can make their food because they are green in color. Photosynthesis process occurs in them. Grasshopper usually use the grass for eating. Frog eat the grasshopper, snakes eat the frog, and eagle eat that snake. So it make the connection between these organisms, and they make a food chain. Our today's topic is about the life cycle of insects, similarities and differences between the living things, life cycle of flowering and non-flowering plants, and at the end we will do the concept check activities on page 34 and 37 also. First of all, life cycle. Life cycle is a series of changes in the body of living organism from birth to an adult. Life cycle is a series of changes in the body of an organism, whether it is a plant or it is an animal or it is a human being. They have changes in their they have their changes in their body. When they passes through these changes, certain changes come in their body, and they change into an adult from a baby. So these types of changes make the life cycle. There are 2 types of life cycles: incomplete life cycle and complete cycle. The comparison of incomplete and complete cycle are that incomplete cycle has 3 stages. There are 3 stages in which organism passes through its life, from an egg, and we are discussing the life cycle of insects here. So the life cycle which has 3 stages are called the incomplete stages. Example of this incomplete stages are present in grasshopper and cockroaches. The complete life cycle has 4 stages. This is the big difference between these 2 stages, that incomplete stage cycle has 3 stages and complete cycle has 4 stages. The complete stages are present in butterfly and house flies. These are the examples of complete life cycles, insects which passes through complete life cycles. And grasshopper is the example in which there is incomplete life cycle is present. Grasshopper is the example of incomplete life cycle. The life cycle of grasshopper has three stages, that are egg, nymph, and adult. When the egg hatch out, it releases nymph, which are too much similar to their adult, but the main difference is that it is just small in size. And on the other hand, if you look at them, they are too much similar to their adult. After some time, they shed off their skin and they change into an adult. While the life cycle of a butterfly has perfectly four stages, that are egg, larva. When egg hatch out, larva comes out, then larva make a cocoon. It covers itself in a cover, and the cover is called cocoon. And cocoon is just like a peanut. It is just like a peanut covering, inside which the insect is present, and this stage is called the pupa. After releasing from the pupa, the larva totally changes into adult. So these are the four stages through which butterfly and housefly passes. As the diagram shows that this is the life cycle of grasshopper. This is the egg of grasshopper. The egg hatch out and it releases the nymph. As you have seen that the shape of the nymph is too much similar to its adult. After few days this nymph shed off their skin and it changes into an adult. So there are three stages: egg, nymph, and adult. This is called incomplete metamorphosis and incomplete life cycle, and this kind of life cycle is present in the grasshopper. Next is the life cycle, as you have seen, is the butterfly life cycle. This is the egg of butterfly. Egg hatch out and larva comes out from this larva grows a cocoon around itself. It covers itself inside a cocoon, which is a peanut like structure. It is a covering of this larva, which keep their self for few days inside them. During this covering, inside this covering, when they are inside the cocoon, there are certain changes occurs in their body, and the larva totally changes into an adult. When it comes out from the cocoon, the butterfly has become adult. So they are passed through four stages. Their life cycle is complete, and they have four stages of the life cycle. Metamorphosis occurs in four steps. This is the egg, caterpillar, cocoon, which is the pupa stage of the life cycle of the butterfly, and then adult is released from them. So there are the two types of life cycles which are present in the insects. One is complete and the other one is incomplete. There are some differences and similarities between the living things which resemble their parents totally and which don't resemble their parents totally. Just like the human beings, they all show, although they are similar to their parents, their mother and father, but not exactly the same copies of their parents. They have some changes, and these changes are called variation. These variations are inherited from their parents to their babies. So they show little bit change from their parents. But on the other hand, if we look at the animals, the babies of animals are the exact copies of their parents, and they get this inheritance. They get these properties there, or this characteristics from their parents. Human look like but has variations. As I have told you, no one is exactly the copy of their parent. They have some changes in their behavior, and they have some changes in their looks, not exactly match their parents. Human inherit these variations from their mother and father. Plants and animals also inherit the characteristics from their parents. They are the exact copies of their parents. If you grow a seed of apple, it will give the fruit of apple, not an orange. These are the inheritance. These are the inheritance which they inherit from their parent plant. As you have seen in the diagrams here, the babies of the animals are similar with their parents. Now the life cycle of a flowering plant and non-flowering plants also. Both flowering and non-flowering plants have same life cycle. There is no difference, not much difference. The basic difference between these two things are, these two kinds of plants are that one, the result of one cycle is that they release the seed inside the fruit, and the result of other one is that they flowering plants and non-flowering plants almost have the same life cycle. A seed, when grows inside the soil, when we put a seed inside the soil and give the all conditions to it, put it in the sunlight, give water, continue watering to it, after a few days a seedling comes out, a tiny with a tiny single leaf or double leaves or two leaves comes out from the soil. After few days, after some times, this tiny seedling or this tiny plant change into an adult plant. This adult plant, after passing the times, it bears flowers, and after flowering, these flowers change into fruit, and inside the fruit again we obtain the seeds. So this is the life cycle of the plant. Life cycle of plants start from the seed and ends with the seed. This is called the life cycle. Life cycle is a series of changes which start from a seed and ends into a seed again. This is called the life cycle. Life cycle of non-flowering plant is similar to this flowering plant. When a seed of non-flowering plants, just like wheat, rice, or maize, we put the seed of non-flowering plant inside the soil, it releases a seedling after few days, and this seedling again change into an adult plant. But after few days it will never bear the flowers, but it has the seed in special structures which are called the cones. So the flowering non-flowering plants end with its life with seed also. They start their life with the seed and they end with the seed also. So this is the difference between the flowering and non-flowering plants. Life cycle start from the seedling, adult plant, and then seeds inside the fruit. This is the flowering plant life cycle. Life cycle start from the seedling, adult plant, and then again seed, but without fruit, as no flowers are present in the non-flowering plants. They produce seed in special structures which are called cone, as no flowers, no fruits are present in them. Book reading, page 35, 36 and 37. Now we start our topic from the life cycle of insects. Some insects have 3 stages life cycle, and the other have 4 stages life cycle. Boys, underline these 3 stages life cycle and 4 stages life cycle, and write incomplete life cycle on 3 stages and complete life cycle on 4 stages. Grasshopper and cockroaches are the examples. Insects, they have 3 stages of the life cycle. A nymph hatches from the egg. This is the nymph, this is the baby which comes out from the eggs of the grasshopper. It looks and behaves just like an adult, cockroach. Every now and then it shed its skin called the molds. after few days, when this nymph changes into adult, it shed off the skin and take the color of the skin of the adult. So these are the three stages of the life cycle of these are the three stages of life cycle of grasshopper. Grasshopper has eggs. When nymph hatch out from the eggs and this nymph is changed into grasshopper. Boys, there is some mistake has happened in the book. The nymph which you have shown in the diagram belongs to grasshopper, not the cockroach. So do the correction here, please. The next is that butterflies and houseflies are the examples of 4 stages life cycle. Butterfly passes and housefly passes through 4 stages. The eggs hatch out, a larva comes out. When larva comes out from the eggs, the larva, grub, caterpillar or maggot, these are the names of the creature which comes out first from the egg, which is called the larva. Feeds and grow. After eating, after taking the food, it changes into body and it shows the growth in changes. It shows changes in their bodies. It covers itself in a cocoon. Cocoon is a covering. It is just like a peanut like shape, as you have seen here. This is the cocoon. Inside the cocoon there is present the insect, the larva. It covers itself inside it. During the days when they are inside the cocoon, changes occurs in their body. It doesn't come out from these days when they are inside the cocoon, and the name of the stage is pupa. The stage is called the pupa. When the pupa opens, the adult insect come out. As you have seen that this is the egg of butterfly. Larva comes out from these eggs. It covers itself inside the cocoons. After a few days, the pupa hatch out the adult butterfly. Similarities and differences. All people are from the same species. All human beings have the same species. We are humans. We look similar, but we have differences or variations. No one is exactly the copy of their parent. No one is exactly the copy of their parent. They have some changes in their body, although their features, their face features show some similarities to them, but still there are some differences by the help of which you can differentiate these two persons. So humans look nothing like butterflies. We have some similar features, legs for example, but we have different species with lots of obvious variations. You noticed how people look a little bit like their mother and a little bit like their father. However, they do not look exactly the same as either the parents. This is because we inherit half of the features from each parent. This is what we get, half of the features from each parent. Plants and animals inherit the characteristics from their parents, but the characteristics can also be affected by the environment, in which environment they are adopted. Now, the life cycle of a flowering plant. Adult plants has root, stem, leaves and seeds. These are the parts of the plants. But it also bears flowers. Some plants, the flowers develop into fruits which contains the seed. This is they have here they discuss the parts of the plants, in which plants, every plants have roots, stem, leaves and seeds. Some flowering plants, some plants which are flowering plants, these flowers change into fruit, and inside the fruit seeds are present, just like apple, orange. The seeds are inside the fruit. But there are some plants which doesn't bear the flowers. They don't have any flowers. Their seeds are naked. Their seeds are not enclosed inside the fruits, but their seeds are naked, and these are called the non-flowering plant. The life start from the seed. seed grows into seedling. After germination, very tiny plant comes out from the soil. After few days, this tiny plant change into an adult plant, and after flower this produces the fruit, and inside the fruit again we obtain the seeds. Non-flowering plant go through similar stages, but their seeds are not covered like those of the flowering plants. Some plants complete their life cycle in a few weeks, and other take many years. This depends upon the species from which it belongs. Now today's homework, learn question 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 of unit 4, which you have done in your copies, and do the practice of the animal cell for the test. Boys, concept check. We have question: unscramble these words and place them in the correct place below. The first option is that living things dash on each other. The living things depend on each other. Plants provide humans and animals with food and oxygen. Plants need dash to make food. Plants need carbon dioxide to make food. The next activity is that fill in the blanks. The life cycle of a grasshopper has dash stages, 3 stages. The life cycle of a housefly has dash stages, 4 stages. These are the concept checked activities which you have done in your copies. Thank you very much, boys.